We can move on to our next session. Let me introduce Vijaya Nirmala, an ardent learner and who is passionate about AWS Cloud and DevOps automation solutions. She is an also active member and a contributor to AWS User Group Chennai and a well-known technical blogger. Vijaya Nirmala will be talking about what if I am prepared, realistic incident management with AWS Incident Manager. Let's put our hands together to welcome Vijaya Nirmala.
Hello everyone. Welcome to the AWS Community Day South Asia 2021. I'm Vijaya Nirmala Gopal, happy to represent Kindle India. So today's topic is about what if I'm prepared, realistic incident management with AWS Incident Manager. So let's see with a small example on how the AWS Incident Manager is helping us to take forward all the incidents in a systematic and organized way. So this is the introduction about me. I'm passionate about cloud solutions, blogger, community builder, and technical speaker. These are my handles on LinkedIn, Twitter, and my technical blog. So today's agenda is about seeing, understanding about AWS Systems Manager and why do we use SSM Incident Manager over here. There will be a small demonstration and explanation of how do we actually walk through the incident management using the EC2 incidents and integrated with Cloudwatch alarms. And then comes the walkthrough, and then how do we do the post-incident analysis, pricing, and others. So to start with, what's actually an incident? So incident by definition is an unusual happening or unexpected that is happening. And in the field of IT, it is about something happening to your application or service that you're held responsible for, which is actually hosted in AWS or at least included and controlled in within AWS. So there is a saying that goes that is given by Jeff Bezos, the founder and the executive chairman of Amazon. He once said that good intentions never work. You need good mechanisms to make everything happen. So this incident manager is actually internally used by the Amazon teams in order to handle the incident management over there. And over a period of time, that was actually automated and are now available as a feature for us. So let's see how do we have to use it about. So this is about the AWS Systems Manager. So on cloud, you could have your EC2 instances, your Linux or your Mac OS instances that could be brought under the control of Systems Manager. And when you attach it with the integrated with the other services like CloudWatch, CloudTribe, you will have good insights and a better understanding of what's actually happening. It helps us for the logs over there, helps us on analyzing and actually analyzing what's happening with those instances there. So this is about bringing under your even your on-premise servers or VMs under one window, and you could do patch management, application management, and apply automations over these instances from one single console. So that is the advantage of having the AWS Systems Manager. And as always for the other services, you will be able to access the Systems Manager using SDK, CLI, and also using the PowerShells as well. So this is about explaining on what the Systems Manager is actually doing. Now let's get into what the Incident Manager is all about. So even in normal scenarios, in any of the projects that are on go live, any incidents would actually have to be alerted. A team has to be held responsible. They have to work on the instance resolutions based on the service level agreements that has been put up with the client or the customer. And then there has to be a triage. It has to be identified with the impact that it is causing, and then it has to come under the investigation and mitigation of taking the resolution of those incident that has happened, using your analysis, applying your resolutions. Either it could be a code fix, then it gets into the pre-production unit testing, integration testing, pre-production, and then it's taking a go live, just followed by a CRB meeting. And follow to all this, after the life is normal, we go ahead and we do a post-incident analysis, which actually gives us a lot of inputs and analysis of what went wrong. It could be in your requirements or a design fault, or it could be your code review problem or human omissions, or it could be a human error. but the actual agenda or the intention is to capture what has actually caused this issue and also come into a preventive and a corrective measure so that this doesn't happen again. So this is at a high level of what actually happens in an incident manager in any kind of IT project that's running. So this idea has actually been classified into 4 stage here, and the same is implemented and brought into the as options and features under incident manager. So let's understand in detail in the coming slides. So here is the use case. It's quite a simple demonstration. The reason and the intention is that this could be well understood and related to anyone who's watching, so that they could even go ahead and try in their own accounts after this session. So I encourage and I insist you to go ahead and try this following up with these slides. So now we have this use case here. We are on cloud and VPC, and the instances are Cloudwatch enabled. On applying some stress test on these instances, what happens is when you have the Cloudwatch integrated with your EC2, you can create an alarm that will actually trigger an AWS Systems Manager's Incident Manager. By this way, on tracking or on any happenings, mishappenings caused on those EC2 instances, with the help of EC2 alarms, you will be able to work on triggering the incidents actually. So now this bottom part is about 3 part, and it is explaining how the actual incident management is triggered or processed. So first thing, for any incident manager, as we discussed before, for an incident to be managed, we need some contacts, a group of people to look into. So they have to be alerted saying that an incident has happened. So for that, we need to have either a simple notification service or a chatbot, and we have to configure them. Then follow to that, we need to have an escalation plan in place. It's about like creating stages of contacts. It's like first level, it would go to the group email who are responsible for that incident. I mean, resolving the incident, and then comes your management and then your senior management. So these are the level of escalation that would happen if it is not addressed during the first level of intimation. So then comes the response plans. The response plan is about it's like a plan that is identifying the level of impact of that particular incident, and it's also after note with the notification details from the previous stage, which is about contact channels. With the impact and the contact channels together, we get into an engagement plan. It says that these group of people or the emails and the contacts has to be engaged for these level of impacts, and you're supposed to apply this runbook in order to get into resolution. We'll see in more detail about what this runbook is. And if you're new to the term runbook, it's nothing but a simple document which has a procedure kind of instructions in order to accomplish a task. Let's say like how do you restart a server, or how do you upgrade a service to or a utility to a particular version, like that. So the next part is about having the post-incident analysis. Assume that we are completing your analysis and completing your remediation as part of this runbook, and you have resolved the incident. And here comes your post-incident analysis, which is about identifying what actually caused this, what was the impact that it was given, how did you go by detecting that, and what could be improved on that, and how did you diagnose this incident, and what was the mitigation steps that were taken. So by capturing all this with a very detailed and a brief manner, we'll be able to revise this runbook in order to arrest the future happening of the same kind of incidents, and also we'll be able to enhance the automated responses for these incidents. So let's see with by a walkthrough. So starting with the walkthrough, as we all know, prerequisites, we need to have IAM roles and permissions for launching the EC2 instances, and also to use the incident manager. So this is the role and permission that you would need for using the EC2 instances. And this would be your role and the permission that you need for executing the runbook as part of your incident manager's response plan. And now let's go ahead and create the EC2. So you're creating even a free tier would do under a VPC, and you are attaching the role over here. And the most important and the essential part is enabling your Cloudwatch detail monitoring. Having this, and the difference is that having this enable will give you every 1 minute data, and it's also chargeable as highlighted here. So assume that now though this instance is created and it is available, now let's get into the part of setting up the incident manager. So as such, from the incident manager, we need to be selecting a particular region, because the data that is generated as part of this incident manager has to be stored in any one particular region, and also there has to be a key that has to be applied in order to encrypt that data. So this is about setting up the incident manager at the account and the region level. So over here I have selected US East, and this becomes a region for replication and storing of data. So just after this, we would start with, as we have seen before, we would start with creating contacts. Over here, it's just the contact is named as incident response group 1. And by creating this contact, the channels that I have chosen in this example is about email. This would be my first level of contact. This comes to the group email, and the next would be to their mobile. So in case if this email has not been responded for so and so minutes, the next level would be of engagement would be to reach out through mobile. So likewise, you can add as many engagements as possible, and at any point of time you can come over and remove this or change this. And over here, the engagement plans could also be revised, updated, or removed as per your requirement. And here comes the channel activation, which is actually an optional, but only on activation your incident management resolution will be working. The intimation actually will be working only on activation. So both the mobile and email or other channels that will be added should also be activated. So this is just an example of how it was activated. So on adding all those contacts, so this is how it looks. The reason for giving the screenshot here is at any point, you should know that at any point in time, you can go ahead and update the contacts or the channels here. And also the test could be applied. The test option could be applied in order to check the reachability of your contact. So by that way, we don't wait until the incident happens, and this could be tested even for changes that can happen over a period of time. So now that contact details has been completed, let's get into the escalation plan setup. So this escalation plan is about having the level of escalations or in the order in which the escalation should happen. So this is just named as a WoW escalation plan. And in this example, it's only one stage. So I have added, this is the contact that has to be reached out uh, at a first level. So the option here explains it as acknowledgement stops when the plan progression. So this plan will not progress to stage 2 if the acknowledgement happens from this group. So what it means is, if my response group 1 is not responding, there will be a stage 2 and it goes to the management. And if stage 2 team is not responding, it goes to stage 3, which would be my senior management. So this is how the escalation plan could be configured, and it could go to any number of levels. Basically, at the max, we would have 3 levels, but for this example, I've stopped it at 1, and let's see how this goes. So this is about having this escalation plan in place. And as I said before, this could also be tested and can be edited at any point in time. So after the contacts and the escalation plans are created, next is about creating a response plan. So now that you have all the other areas of incident management in place, now let's put up a response plan in place. So this plan is WoW response plan. This is details is on in EC2 incidents. The impact is high, and I go ahead and give a reason for that. The reason being, this incident is challenging my application's availability, and hence it is critical for me. So I put it under a high impact. So this is about creating a response plan, the details on that incident. And then comes the chat channel if you have to mark it with any chatbot client, and also the SNS topics that could be configured here. And the engagement plan is also optional. So I have marked this engagement plan that we have created before. So that becomes our engagement, who should be engaged for this incident. And here comes the most interesting part. This is about having the runbooks. So the runbook is basically, as we talked before, it is about having the set of instructions that has to be performed to accomplish a task. And in this case, it is about setting right the EC2 instance, which is actually high on CPU utilization. So that is our use case here. So for that, we need the permissions for this incident management role in order to execute this runbook. So for that, I have tagged the role, and this is the new runbook name that has been given. And so this is about the response plan. So on completing this response plan creation, we'll have this runbook being listed here under the systems manager documents. So when you click on owned by me, this is going to appear with your account ID as your owner and the platforms that it could be applied. So this is just a draft version of the runbook that is created. Go ahead and create a new version to edit and update the activities inside the runbook. So the glimpse of what's inside the runbook goes something like this. So this is a template basically. So this talks about how to resolve the high utilization, CPU utilization of your EC2 instance. So first thing, it tries to inspect what has happened by getting into the Cloudwatch console, looking into the metrics for the high utilization. Then it would add the metrics with this incident manager's incident, saying that this was the metrics that has identified or triggered this incident. So that particular metric will be added to this particular incident basically. And then the actual resolution is about attaching that EC2 to an autoscaling group because it's high on CPU utilization. So first thing is about identifying your activities of that EC2 from your Cloudwatch console, then tagging that particular metric which helps us to identify this to your incident management, and then the resolution. So this is what is actually happening inside the runbook. So this is the complete content. Anybody in the team could come through this part of the incident management, read the instructions and apply these changes, and they'll be finally able to resolve the incident. So this saves a lot of time and effort, and also the dependency on people is also eliminated by having a runbook appropriate for every incident that we could possibly have in the system or in the project. So that is about having the runbook. Now though we have completed the configuration part of the incident manager, now let's get into the configuration part of Cloudwatch alarm. So under the Cloudwatch console alarms, create a new alarm. So come into the EC2 section where go by the per instance metrics, because what we are looking for is about CPU utilization. So this is the instance in question, and the metric that we are looking for is about the CPU utilization. So on selecting that, I would like to be highlighted based on the condition that is static, where my CPU utilization goes beyond 70% and above, I would want this alarm to be triggered. And the action for that alarm would be a systems manager action. So this is where the systems manager's response plan and the Cloudwatch alarm gets integrated. So the most happening part is this Cloudwatch and systems manager's integration action. So here, instead of creating an ops item, I go ahead and I use the new feature of create incident, and I map this my response plan. When this incident happens, just follow this response plan, trigger this. So what happens is the contacts that are configured in this response plan will be notified. The resolution that is given in the runbook will be executed. The people have to be just follow the runbook and react on the instructions given in that runbook and mark the incident as resolved. So that is how it works. So the next step would be that this Cloudwatch alarm is created and it is available for action. So now we have the response plans created, Cloudwatch alarm being set, and the next part is to do the actual stress. So for that, I take a connection to my EC2 instance. I install my EPEL, and I install a stress utility out of this. This is a utility which will allow us to stress our system against CPU, memory, input, output, and disk against a configurable measure. So by that way, this is very useful. And again, these two steps could be part of your EC2's user data as well. It's just that I have connected here and I have executed it. And now comes the actual stress test. So you do the stress test with the CPU of 3 CPU with a timeout of 300 seconds against my EC2 instance. So where the Cloudwatch alarm has been enabled, and also the Cloudwatch alarm is integrated with the Incident Manager's response plan. And if you're wondering what this is a browser client feature of AWS. So that is how I connected instead of SSH. So now what happens on having this stress activated, and while the stress is running with 3 CPU utilization, on reaching the 70% threshold, the new incident is created, and that gets listed under Incidents Manager. So now with the high impact, it's just 2 minutes that this incident has been reported. And after reporting this, we'll be getting an alert. Since my first level of alerting would be for my email, I got an email from AWS SSM saying that there is an incident that has happened, and if we have to acknowledge, go ahead and use this is the code that has been shared. So with that acknowledgement code, you have to come back to your screen. On looking into this email, you have to log in and get into your incident manager response plan and do acknowledge this engagement. So what happens is, when you don't acknowledge, this gets escalated to the second level of context that has been given, and then the next level, and then the next, and it goes on as per our configurations over there. So now I just acknowledged here with my code that has been given in this email. And after acknowledging, this is how the incident manager is progressing. So we have tabs for overview of what is happening from the runbook, the metrics that cost us this incident manager that could be tagged here, the timeline that is taken for each step of this process, the runbook that is to be followed, and engagement plans, the contacts, and the escalation plans that were actually tagged are all listed here. So this is basically giving an overview of what is actually happening. And of course, on completion, you can go ahead and click on the resolve incident option in order to mark this incident as resolved. And as we speak, there is also a time that is being recorded. So now it is 7 minutes that this incident has been reported, and finally it has been acknowledged, and the runbook steps have been started. So as we discussed before, there are 4 stages like triage, diagnosis, mitigation, and recovery. So at every stage, the team can look into the instructions that is given in the runbook, and then they can take action to perform the steps that has been explained in the runbook. And finally, you have to click on the resume option, and until then, this particular step will be in the waiting stage. So once I complete every stage of the steps, the every stage would be marked as success, and the final end result would be that the whole incident is a success, and the total duration and the timeline of events that happened in every stage is also recorded. And as of now, it is 36 minutes for giving a response and complete the steps completely. And now I can go ahead and click on the resolve incident, which finishes my journey of resolving the incident that has happened on EC2. So this journey, if you could see, it's completely recorded. Each and every information that could be minute is also recorded, captured, and it's available against this particular incident with a date and time at any point in time for our analysis. So with the timelines that has been taken, with the runbook that steps that has been followed, and the total time that it took us in order to give a resolution. So by this way, the later analysis would give us a lot of information on improvising this the steps in the runbook, or the metrics, or the values there. So let's see. So here ends the incident management, but the next part is the most exciting one. Let's see how the post-incident analysis works. So normally we would be doing a root cause analysis after the production incidents are addressed. There would be a team sitting up and discussing on what actually caused the incident, and how we would go ahead and prevent those, and also how we would correct if that happens again, and how to include that as a mechanism so that it doesn't happen again, either in your design review, or your code review, or in your testing part. So that is how the actual journey is happening. So here the same thing will be documented by every possible way with all possible parameters. So let's see how. when you create a analysis, when you start with an incident analysis, you will find a existing template that is provided by AWS under the document section, which is post incident analysis template. This quite covers all possible choices there. So in case if you're not finding it enough, you could sufficient, you can even go ahead and customize the template that is available there. So this is the view of what's actually available as part of their incident analysis. So the timeline, the metrics, and the incident questions are all captured here. So this is about incident summary and impact. This could be edited and updated. On updating them, the incident gets into a completed stage. So the explanation given here for this example is that the EC2 was stressed out and it was challenged for its availability, but having the Cloudwatch alarm set has alerted us. So, and then it was resolved. So that is about incident summary, because it asks about why it happened, how it was mitigated, and what was the steps that was followed. So that could be updated here. And here comes the impact. So this is basically the impact is assessed in terms of time, money, and the reputation. So over here again, it depends on how we are measuring our the availability and customer experience here. So based on that, it could even get into the medium priority. Based on the impact, it could also be raised as a critical issue, or it could retain in the as a high priority incident. So on completing these two part of the incident questions, now let's get into the detection part. So this is questioning about how this investigation started, how it was detected, and could we bring down the time that we took? If you had have seen in the previous slides, it took us 36 minutes to resolve that incident. So given that time, is there any possible way that we could have resolved it in a much earlier time frame? So any inputs on that area, and what other adjustments could be made on the metrics part, or if the metrics or the alarms needs any adjustments, so that could also be captured here. And then comes the diagnosis part. How did the how could the time to diagnosis be improved? By adding more insights into the problem, and if there is any updates to engage the correct contact faster, that was responded as expected, so no updates needed there. And when it comes to mitigation part, whether we need to have any improvements in the mitigation. So here the feedback is that it could be script executed as a script rather than having those as steps in the runbook. So instead of that, it could be a script that could be executed in order to get it resolved. So that is the feedback that has come up here for this particular incident. But again, this could be discussed as a team, a vote. It could be voted, and then these points could be filled in. So here ends the post incident analysis with the final choice of having prevention mechanism. So again, it is following the 5 whys method, which was there in a Tokyo production system. It's quite famous now, and most of the teams are following now. So this is about the problem what you had. It's about having the EC2 of overutilization against the CPU metric. And we go ahead and ask questions about why. As a team, we could sit together and ask this, and also give us the lessons learned against each why. So with the reaching 5 whys will actually bring us to the root cause. Could be like a human error, or it was omitted during the design or during the code, likewise. So the actual reason could be named by answering these 5 whys. So that is also captured and documented against your incident analysis. So this is the complete checklist of what has happened over the timeline, and what kind of metrics have been captured, and how many answers have been given against each of these phases, like prevention, mitigation, diagnosis, and detection. So with this analysis will also be completed. From the incident manager, you will have all the incidents listed here, the duration taken, and whether the incident had an post-incident analysis done, and all the analysis will also be listed against this part. Anytime you can select these incidents, could reopen, rework on that, update the runbook. There is a lot of room for improvement, and that could be performed at any point in time as well. So this brings us to the end part, that is about pricing. So we are charged based on the active response plans per month, and 100 SMS and voicemail are free for a month. And after those first 100 messages, the rates as per that country would apply. And apart from that incident manager's response plan, the execution of runbooks and the op center items will also be costing us. And as we have integrated EC2 with the Cloudwatch alarms, and that too it is on detailed monitoring, the billing for detailed monitoring will also be adding up to us. So this is how the journey of incident management happens in AWS. So I encourage all of you to go ahead and try this in your AWS accounts and implement this with your project or team's use cases. Thank you so much for joining. Be vaccinated, be safe. Thank you again.
Thank you, Vijay and Nirmala. The session was really enlightening. And we have a couple of questions from the community. Actually, we would like to know about your experience as a AWS community builder.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much for the user group for giving me this opportunity this time at South Asia 2021. Thanks to the audiences as well. As a community builder, it was a great experience, and you have to prepare a lot, and you get to learn and share your thoughts as well in that community. It is a great level of experts, varied, coming from different backgrounds with varied experiences. It's really a treasure. You get to know about the use cases, what they use, and you learn a lot from them. So it's basically like you come to know what's not possible and what is possible from others' experience. So it's easy by that way.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Vijay. That's really great to know about that. Okay, we have another question. We would like to know. We would like to get your advice to the women in tech community.
That's great question. So I would say they can all start. It's all about, we think a lot about where do we start and should we actually be a part of a group or should we contribute, but actually start being part of a group. Then go ahead with how you're able to get along with the team. And once you start learning, you will also get into a spirit of sharing something back. By that way, you can start your journey. So when you're a group, you're also encouraged and you might get a lot of inspiration from other co-women in technology. So by that way, you'll also be inspired, and then we start. Otherwise, we most of the time we think, but it never starts, either a subscription or starting up a course or doing a certification. So when you're in a group, you're motivated. So by that way, it is good. So please do join our community groups, AWS community groups.
Yeah, sure. It's great. Okay, thank you so much, Vijay and Nirmala. That was very informative session.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
Build. Go. Build. Go. Build. Go build. There is no compression algorithm for experience. Def and test are the most important workloads. Dance like nobody's watching. 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 Encrypt like everyone is.